Hey everyone, and welcome to the Daily Boost. My name is Patrick Savage. Finally, going to end the procrastinating and start this whole YouTube channel thing. I've been wanting to do it for a while. Everyone tells me I talk too much, which you will bear witness to. But to kind of give you the layout before I get into today's first video, really into gaming, really into movies, really just overall huge nerd. So I figured I would kind of let that bleed over into YouTube. Every day around 12 o'clock, expect to see a new daily boost, as I'm going to call it, where I just kind of unload the day's news, as it were, into a video. And I'll probably upload like a video sometime throughout the day, sometimes if there's like a big breaking thing or whatnot. And expect trailer reactions for big things, video games preferably, movies sometimes, probably like Marvel, DC, stuff that kind of lends itself to gaming. Um, and streams on Sundays. I'm going to try to do live streams on Sundays and then also live streams kind of whenever I feel like it, whenever I feel like playing a video game or something like that. And plan on doing some live streams at like big gaming events. I know I already got my calendar marked for June 12th when the Bethesda Xbox showcase goes on. But a little bit about me: been playing video games forever, too long probably. Still doing it, work a full time job, but that's no biggie. Plan on doing some YouTube on the side here. Um, there's not really much else outside of I play way too many video games and talk too much. So I'm going to end all that and just kind of get right into the first video of my channel here. Starting out on my Twitter here, where you'll see me post all of my videos whenever they do come out, and some cool articles I see here and there. So I'm going to get into the first story of the day. First thing I saw was, as a lot of you know, that Sony's finally revealed what Project Spartacus is, and it's going to be their competitor for the Game Pass. So the first one we see is that the first few PS Plus premium retro games seems to have leaked online. This comes from IGN here. Now, I wanted to keep this kind of a spoiler free for me because I am interested in see what they're going to have to combat Game Pass, because right now Game Pass is easily one of the best subscription services out there. I don't really think there's anything that can combat it right now, what Microsoft has to offer with all their acquisitions. But I do want to see what Sony has to offer, because they have an uphill battle here, especially when they announce the fact that not their first party games, when they come out, more than likely aren't going to be on here as soon as they come out. But let's just kind of take a look and see what they have to offer in terms of retro games. So it seems Tekken 2, Worms Armageddon, Worms World Party, and Mr. Driller for the original PlayStation have all appeared on the PSN backend alongside Ridge Racers 2 for the PSP. So it looks like a Reddit user by the name of The and True spotted the hidden games as reported by Eurogamer, which will likely be part of the most expensive PS Plus tier when the service is refreshed in June. Forgot to mention, yeah, they have 3 tiers, and it seems that one of them exclusively features PlayStation retro games. So it looks like the premier tier, which will cost users $119.99 a year, that's pretty hefty, is going to include 340 retro games from the PS1, PS2, and PSP, plus the ability to stream PS3 games and access to around 400 PS4 and PS5 games that are included in the previous extra tier. Now, while I think it's awesome that they're including PS1, PS2, and even PSP for that matter. But the thing I have an issue with is the PS3 games, right? So the PS3 games, while I think it's cool that they're added, the fact that they're streaming it is a bit lackluster. I don't know that many people have gotten the whole streaming game thing down, besides Nvidia. Nvidia got it pretty good, but that ended pretty quickly once all the different game publishers try to take all that down. But the problem is that there are people who have figured out how to emulate the PS3 quite effectively, to the point where some of the games that released cross-generation actually perform better on a computer than they did on the PS4 when they were playing the PS3 version. Not going to mention which one, but I do know, I've seen it with my own eyes, and I mean, it's incredible. But the fact that Sony is still playing the stream game and not adding the ability for people to play and have backwards compatibility with PS3 games on the PS5, constantly using the excuse of the cell processor, it just doesn't hold any weight anymore. And I do know a lot of people are a little let down that realistically all this is PlayStation Now combined with PlayStation Plus. So it's interesting to see what they are doing. I still don't think this is going to hold a candle to Game Pass. They're basically trying to emulate what Game Pass is doing, but in my opinion, to not as good of an extent here. but I do want to see if there's anything here outside of that information there. Not much other than that the service is expected to launch in the U.S. on June 13th in Europe. In the U.S., sorry, on June 13th, and on Europe on June 22nd, after having been revealed in March. So, in regards to that, kind of jumping over into another thing, it shows that, also coming from IGN, that Sony confirmed it has stopped PlayStation Plus users from stacking their membership. Sony, when the whole PlayStation 4 thing came around, they kind of reversed a lot of decisions they had with the PlayStation 3 and became very pro-consumer. Now that we're getting to the PS5 and they're coming off that high of being the top dog when it came to the console, just kind of war. I don't want to say console wars, but really what that was in terms of marketing. Sony has kind of backtracked a lot of those things, and Microsoft has picked up the whole pro-consumer thing, starting when they actually started doing all the backwards compatibility. But it shows that Sony has seemingly disabled the ability to redeem PlayStation Plus codes from third-party retailers or via the PlayStation Store. Some users have tried to extend or stack their PlayStation Plus membership after news broke that those with simultaneous PS Plus and PS Now subscriptions will get upgraded to PS Plus Premium in June, with a link to the new subscription being equal to their longest current memberships. But after purchasing a PS Plus code, users then reported the codes were being rejected after an attempted redemption. So, originally it was just rumored to be the case, but it does look like there's an update here that Sony has confirmed it has stopped PS Plus and PS Now code stacking for existing members prior to the new PlayStation Plus launch. The new information can be found on a recently updated PS Plus FAQ page, and that one of the new FAQ questions reads, as we prepare to launch the new PlayStation Plus membership service, we are doing some work behind the scenes to make the transition as smooth as possible for all of our existing members. As a part of this work, we've temporarily disabled stacking memberships for existing customers until after the launch. The original story continues below. Now, that being said, I find it interesting their wording here that they've temporarily stopped it. I don't see Sony actually giving back the ability, given that they're just stopping them outright. I don't have much faith in Sony as of now to make such a pro-consumer decision. That being said, I would love for them to do that, but it seems as though that Sony's sticking with their guns on this one. But that being said, after enough backlash, Sony has reversed decisions in the past, just like when they were thinking about shutting down the PlayStation 3 store and the PlayStation Vita store, so on. But on to our next one, some really cool news, again, coming out of IGN here. It looks like Sonic 2 is now the highest grossing video game movie ever in the United States of America. Now, what's awesome is the original movie, if you don't know, I don't know how you don't, but the original movie came out with a trailer. Everyone hated it. Disgusting Lovecraftian abomination that was the original Sonic design. But they reversed their decision, delayed the movie. Movie comes out, and it becomes the highest grossing video game movie. I may or may not have seen the movie 3 times in theaters, but that's neither here nor there. I did enjoy the movie a lot. And it seems Sonic 2 has also broken the record for the highest grossing video game movie in the United States, which the previous holder was Sonic 1. Shocker there, right? So it seems Sonic 2 has hit $147 million and counting, because it is still in theaters, compared to the original's $146 million. It does show, however, that Sonic 2 didn't conquer the global market, but did do pretty well regardless, making $287.8 million, according to Deadline, looks like. While still an impressive amount, the film falls short of 2016's World of Warcraft, which made $439 million, which, before I read the article, completely forgot that movie even existed, but I didn't even know it did that much, and kind of shocked they haven't announced a sequel, that being the case, but I don't remember the movie's budget, right? But Sonic 2 is a fantastic movie, and I think it's really awesome that the movie is starting to outpace the original in terms of money, because if you haven't seen Sonic 2, which I highly recommend, great movie, the end credits provide a very tantalizing continuation to the franchise once they do get into the third one. But moving on from that, we do have some news also coming from IGN that Final Fantasy 16 is in the final stages of development. It shows that Final Fantasy 16 producer Naoki Yoshida, sorry if I butchered that, has said the game is in its final stages of development. Yoshida confirmed the progress in a pamphlet that accompanied the franchise's official clothing line, translated by the clothing line. Why in the That's an interesting way to advertise that, but translated by Twitter user, not even going to try to pronounce that, saying, "We're in the final stages of development for the numbered game in the series, Final Fantasy 16. Yoshida added that he thinks the game's story, which is obviously a very different experience from Final Fantasy 14 Online, which he also... I forgot that he was also... I totally forgot that he did 14. Is a fleshed out experience that will bring older fans back, which is an interesting statement. Because if you don't know... I mean, you know. But Final Fantasy 15 went to a real-time hack-and-slash kind of RPG, open world. It was great. Besides the fact that it released unfinished, in my opinion, with DLC after DLC added. But... it did go to that real-time action game, and 516 seems to be doing the same thing, although it looks like they've taken some inspiration from Dark Souls, and it looks a little bit more mature. The art style looks a little bit more, I don't want to say edgier, but more hard, like Dark Souls in a sense, where it's just very guttural in its design. But I'm super excited for it. I didn't care as much for Final Fantasy 15 as a lot of people did. I did kind of miss that whole RTS side of, or not RTS, but real-time strategy side of it, just the JRPG aspect of it, the turn-based and everything. But 16 still does look really good, and it does look like it's gonna make just as many sales. I just hope that when the game does come out, through all the delays and everything, that it does come out as a full experience with not as many DLC packs released after the fact. But speaking of games that have been in development forever, on Kotaku we do have, it looks like today there was a leak about Ubisoft's pirate game. I think it was called Skull and Bones. It looked like to be a game that was built completely off of the ship-to-ship combat we saw in Assassin's Creed 4. They're making a full game about it, but it does look like that there was a leak here recently showing full gameplay footage of the game, showing actual ground exploration and more of the gameplay we've come to know. But there was no real news in regards to when the game's coming out. It just kind of happened, but it's still a game that I honestly thought was canceled. I'm glad it's not, because in my opinion there's no real open world pirate RPG. I think the closest thing we ever got to it was I can't think of the name. I can't think of the game right now. It's the one that Microsoft has. And Sea of Thieves, that's what it was. But I really want that single-player one. Now, I know Skull and Bones is going to be a heavy focus on multiplayer, but I do hope that they do go that single-player route. Because, I mean, outside of that one, there was like an old Pirates of the Caribbean one way back in the day. But still, fingers crossed for a good Pirates open-world RPG. I don't know if this one's going to be it, especially with all the stuff coming out of Ubisoft and the possibility of them selling themselves. But here's hoping. Now... this, I'm really excited for it. I know Nintendo's going to take it down, but it's still really cool. So this comes from Nintendo Life. It looks like fans have created their own Metroid 64, and it looks awesome. Now, there was never a Metroid 64 in development, never a thing, but it does look like some people went and made their own, and it looks awesome. Now, I mean, he hasn't released it or anything, not that I know of, but kind of hope he does. But just like another Metroid 2 remake, got a feeling that Nintendo's going to take it down real quick. But he hasn't posted anything. He just posted this video, and it looks awesome. But yeah, there was never one made. I just wanted to point it out because it is super cool. I'm definitely following this because I want to see what else they do with this whole thing. But definitely check it out. I retweeted it on my Twitter. Definitely show the person some love. It looks amazing, and I definitely want to see more come out of it because I'm not gonna lie, I would love to see what this looks like. I'm a sucker for like retro remakes or retro demakes, as it were. There's another person making a fully playable Elden Ring demake for the Game Boy. That's not what I'm following because apparently they're gonna do everything, which is wild. And then there was also the Bloodborne PSX, where they remade sections of Bloodborne on PlayStation 1. Super awesome stuff. So I'm a sucker for this kind of thing. Definitely check them out. Ludo Aquino on Twitter. Really cool stuff. Definitely show them some love. But going on to that, same thing on Nintendo Life. We got a Kickstarter do-it-yourself kit transforms the GBA into a console-like HDMI system. So, really cool, because really the only other way to play these kind of games officially, per se, on a TV was the GameCube Game Boy Advance adapter, if I recall. I had one of those when I was growing up, and thing was awesome. But it's the closest thing you do to that, and they're expensive as all get out nowadays, which makes me regret getting rid of mine way back in the day. But this thing seems to be pretty cool. You can find it on Kickstarter and support it right now. It does look like they, so far, have raised over $10,000 with a goal of $49,697. That's pretty wicked. The Game Boy Advance modding community is quite large. I've thought about getting myself one here recently and doing the whole LCD mod switch on it, because, I mean, the Game Boy Advance in particular, the original model, just such a good grip. SP hasn't grown as well in my hands, but this thing still feels great. But I might just wait until they get this whole thing figured out, because I'd love to play this sort of thing in the living room. There was plenty of awesome games, just like the Castlevania games that came out on it. Speaking of Metroid, Metroid Fusion, Metroid Zero Mission, the Kirby games, really solid stuff all around on the console. I definitely recommend checking out the Kickstarter. Support it if you want to, but I think it's pretty wicked, and it's definitely something I want to end on a really cool story here. But for more news like this, check back on the channel every day, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and there'll be a new video every single day. Breaking news might post here and there throughout the day, but definitely for more, subscribe, like, share, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified anytime a video does come out. In the meantime, see you guys next time.